Hi everyone, my name is Wabosha. This how I ended up into prostitution in the city of Dubai. However, I cannot bring myself to narrate it, as it has caused much pain and agony to me in the past, as you're all going to hear in the story. I do not wish anyone to fall victim of all this, and to remind all the young generation that not all that glitters is gold. That's why I asked my friend to narrate it for you guys. Please, Harvey, go on.
Wabosha's days blended together in a blur of hard work and sacrifice. She woke up before dawn to fetch water from the village well, her siblings clinging to her legs as she walked. After a quick breakfast, she set off to work, carrying heavy loads of bricks at the construction site. The sun beat down on her, relentless in its intensity, but Wabosha persevered. At 19, she had become the sole breadwinner for her family. Her father's passing had left a gaping hole in their lives, and her mother's descent into alcoholism had made Wabosha the de facto caregiver. She worked multiple jobs to make ends meet, but the struggle was real. As she walked home, exhausted, Wabosha's mind wandered to the conversation she had with her client earlier that day. The woman had told her about a company that offered jobs abroad, promising a better life and decent wages. Wabosha was skeptical, but the seed of hope had been planted. Wabosha couldn't shake off the thought of the company her client had mentioned. She had always dreamed of a better life, one where her siblings could attend school without worrying about fees, and her mother could receive the help she needed. That evening, after finishing her chores, Wabosha approached her mother with trepidation. "Mama, I want to talk to you about something." Her mother looked up, bleary-eyed. "What is it, Wabosha?" "There's a company that offers jobs abroad. They promise good wages and a better life. I was thinking of trying it out." Her mother's expression changed from indifference to alarm. "No, Wabosha. You can't leave us. Who'll take care of your siblings?" Wabosha held her ground. "I'll be able to send money home, Mama. We'll be better off. And maybe, just maybe, I can find a way to bring you and the children to join me." Her mother's resistance slowly gave way to desperation. "If it means a better life for my children, then go. But be careful, Wabosha. The world is full of predators." Wabosha's determination solidified. She would take the chance, no matter the risks. Wabosha stood outside the company's office, her heart racing with anticipation and fear. She had never been to a place like this before, sleek, modern, and full of strangers. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the door and stepped inside. The receptionist, a polished woman with a warm smile, greeted her. "Welcome to Horizon International. How can we assist you?" "I'm here about the job opportunities abroad," Wabosha replied, trying to sound confident. The receptionist nodded. "Let me call our representative." "Please, have a seat." Wabosha sat down, scanning the office. Everything seemed legitimate: certificates on the walls, professional-looking staff, and an atmosphere of efficiency. A handsome young man emerged from a side door, extending his hand. "Hello, I'm Mr. Odhiambo. You're interested in our overseas program?" Wabosha nodded, shaking his hand. Mr. Odhiambo led her to a private office, explaining the company's services. "We place candidates in reputable companies across the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. Our clients are guaranteed good wages, comfortable accommodations, and a chance to start anew." Wabosha listened, entranced. This was the escape she had been searching for. "What kind of jobs are available?" she asked. "We have openings in hospitality, healthcare, and domestic work. Which area interests you?" Wabosha hesitated. "I'm willing to try anything." Mr. Odhiambo smiled. "Excellent attitude. We'll guide you through the process. But first, we require a registration fee, 50,000 Kenyan shillings." Wabosha's heart skipped a beat. It was a small fortune, but she saw it as an investment in her future. "Please continue with the registration," she said, determination etched on her face. Wabosha left the office with a sense of purpose, but the weight of the registration fee settled heavily on her shoulders. 50,000 Kenyan shillings was a fortune, equivalent to several months' worth of her combined earnings. She spent the next few days in a daze, trying to figure out how to raise the funds. Her mother, seeing her distress, offered what little she had, 5,000 shillings, barely a tenth of the required amount. Wabosha's friends and neighbors, sympathetic to her plight, contributed small amounts, but it was clear she needed a miracle to reach the target. In desperation, Wabosha turned to the local moneylender, a ruthless woman known for her exorbitant interest rates. The loan would put Wabosha in debt, but she saw no other option. With the moneylender's reluctant agreement, Wabosha secured the remaining amount, her heart heavy with the knowledge that she'd be paying off the debt for months to come. The registration fee paid, Wabosha returned to Horizon International, a mix of emotion swirling inside her. She had taken a gamble, risking her family's well-being for a chance at a better life. Mr. Odhiambo greeted her warmly, seemingly oblivious to her inner turmoil. "Welcome back, Wabosha. We'll begin processing your application." "Dubai, here you come." Wabosha forced a smile, her mind racing with the consequences of her decision. Wabosha returned home, her mind reeling with thoughts of the future. She had taken a huge risk, but the promise of a better life kept her going. The days turned into weeks, and Wabosha heard nothing from Horizon International. She tried to focus on her work, but her heart was in Dubai, wondering what lay ahead. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Mr. Odhiambo called. "Wabosha, your application has been approved. We're arranging your flight and accommodation. You'll leave in 2 weeks." Wabosha's heart soared. She had done it. She was going to Dubai. The next fortnight passed in a blur of preparation. Wabosha packed her bags, said goodbye to her family and friends, and boarded the plane to Dubai. As the aircraft took off, Wabosha felt a mix of emotions: excitement, fear, and uncertainty. She was leaving behind everything she knew, embarking on a journey that would change her life forever. The flight attendants' voices brought her back to reality. "Welcome to Dubai International Airport. Please prepare for landing." Wabosha's heart skipped a beat. She was really here. This was it. Wabosha's eyes scanned the crowded airport, searching for a familiar face. She had been told that her new employers would be waiting for her, holding a sign with her name. But as the minutes ticked by, she began to feel a growing sense of unease. She checked her phone for what felt like the 100th time, wondering if she had missed a call or message. But there was nothing. Fear started to creep in, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Had she been scammed? Was she truly alone in this foreign country? Wabosha approached an airport staff member, trying to keep her voice steady. "Excuse me, I'm looking for my employers. They were supposed to meet me here." The staff member's expression was sympathetic. "I'm sorry, miss. You might want to try contacting your agency or the company that hired you." Wabosha's heart sank as she tried to call the company at home, but all the phone numbers were not reachable. All the phone numbers were off. As the reality of her situation set in, Wabosha felt a wave of panic wash over her. She was alone, vulnerable, and scared in a country where she knew no one. Wabosha's anxiety grew as she realized she was truly alone. She had been told to call her company back home if there were any issues, but as she dialed the numbers, she got no response. She tried again and again, but it was as if the company had vanished. Wabosha's mind raced with thoughts of being scammed and abandoned. Desperation set in as she wandered around the airport, searching for someone to help her. But every door she approached led to more questions and confusion. As the hours passed, Wabosha's hopes began to dwindle. She had no money, no contacts, and no idea what to do next. The vast, unfamiliar airport seemed to closing in around her. With a heavy heart, Wabosha accepted the harsh reality: she was stranded in Dubai, alone and adrift. Wabosha walked slowly, her feet heavy with defeat, after the airport authorities offered no solution but deportation. She couldn't bear the thought of returning home, not after sacrificing everything. As night fell, Wabosha found herself on the unforgiving streets of Dubai, with no shelter, no money, and no hope. She had never felt so lost and alone. She wandered, searching for a place to rest, but every doorway led to rejection. Eventually, exhaustion took over, and she collapsed on a deserted sidewalk. As she lay there, Wabosha realized that she had hit rock bottom. The dreams she had cherished, the sacrifices she had made, all seemed futile now. Sleep was a fleeting refuge, but even that was interrupted by the sounds of passing cars, the glare of streetlights, and the chill of the night air. The next morning, Wabosha woke up to an unfamiliar city, her body stiff from the hard concrete. She knew she couldn't stay there, but where could she go? Wabosha woke up to see fellow Africans surrounding her. They offered her a sip of water as the only thing they were able to offer her. They chatted and Wabosha came to know that they ended up in that situation due to the same type of scam Wabosha suffered. The type of visas they received were visiting visas, but due to ignorance and excitement of joining a new life they ended up in that kind of situation. One of the girls, Amira, got Wabosha up and told her, "This is where the struggle begins, so get up and go." Wabosha and Amira scoured the city for jobs, but every door they knocked on led to rejection. Wabosha's spirit sank with each passing day, and the pangs of hunger only added to her despair. As night fell, Wabosha broke down, tears streaming down her face. "I can't do this anymore, Amira. I'm so tired, so hungry. I just want to go home." Amira tried to comfort her, but Wabosha was beyond consolation. She felt like she'd hit rock bottom, with no hope of escape. As they huddled together in an abandoned alleyway, Wabosha's body racked with sobs, Amira whispered, "We'll get through this, Wabosha. We have to." But Wabosha couldn't shake off the feeling of defeat. She had come to Dubai with dreams of a better life, but now she was struggling to survive. As the darkness closed in around her, Wabosha wondered if she'd ever find a way out of this desperate situation. Wabosha's eyes widened in horror as her friend's words hung in the air. Prostitution? It was unthinkable. She had never imagined that her search for a better life would lead her to this. "How can you even suggest that?" Wabosha asked, her voice shaking with disgust. Her friend's expression was somber. "I know it's not ideal, but we're desperate. We need to survive. And it's not like we have other options." Wabosha felt a wave of revulsion wash over her. "There has to be another way. I won't sell my body." Her friend's gaze was piercing. "Do you have a better job lined up? Can you find food and shelter elsewhere?" Wabosha's silence was telling. She knew she had no other options. Amira spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. "Wabosha, think about it. It's temporary. We can save up and find a way out." Wabosha's heart sank. Was she really considering this? Wabosha and Amira stood on the dimly lit road, their hearts heavy with reluctance. They had never imagined that their search for a better life would lead them to this. Cars drove by, some slowing down to glance at them before speeding away. Wabosha felt like a commodity, a mere object for men to exploit. A car pulled up, and a man leaned out of the window. "How much?" he asked gruffly. Wabosha felt a surge of disgust, but Amira nudged her forward. 500 dirhams, Amira replied, her voice barely above a whisper. The man nodded and motioned for Wabosha to get in. She hesitated, but Amira's pleading eyes pushed her forward. As Wabosha got into the car, she felt a part of her die. She was trapped in a desperate cycle, and she didn't know how to escape. Wabosha's experience with the man was traumatic. He was rough and demanding, leaving her feeling shattered and used. She returned to Amira, tears streaming down her face. Amira held her close, trying to comfort her. "We'll get through this, Wabosha. We have to." But as the days went by, Wabosha struggled to cope. She felt like she was losing herself, trapped in a cycle of exploitation and shame. Amira tried to keep her spirits up, but even she was struggling. They were both just trying to survive, but at what cost? One night, as they sat on the sidewalk, Wabosha turned to Amira. "I don't know how much longer I can do this." Amira's eyes were somber. "We'll find a way out, Wabosha. We have to." But as they hugged, Wabosha couldn't shake off the feeling that they were running out of options. One day, a man came and offered her a good sum of money and told her to deliver a certain package to the next building. She hesitated since this included drugs, but the amount of money she was offered would take care of her for more than a week. So, she agreed the gig. Wabosha clutched the package, her heart racing as she limped toward the next building. The man's words echoed in her mind, "Deliver this, and you'll get more money." But as she turned a corner, police sirens pierced the air. Panic set in. Wabosha quickened her pace, but her legs betrayed her. She fell hard, her leg twisting at an unnatural angle. Agony racked her body as she cried out, clutching her broken leg. The package slipped from her grasp. Landing nearby, in desperation, Wabosha dragged herself into a nearby dumpster, hiding amidst the trash. She watched through tears as police officers swarmed the area. One officer approached the dumpster, peering inside. Wabosha held her breath, praying not to be discovered. Amira nursed Wabosha back to health, but without proper medical care, Wabosha's broken leg healed poorly. The pain lingered, and marijuana became her only solace. At first, it numbed the pain, but soon Wabosha found herself craving its euphoric escape. Amira tried to warn her, but Wabosha couldn't resist. As the days passed, Wabosha's dependence grew. She smoked more frequently, needing it to function. Amira's concerns turned to despair. "Wabosha, stop this. You're killing yourself," Amira pleaded, but Wabosha couldn't stop. The addiction had taken hold, consuming her. One day, Amira vanished. Wabosha searched frantically, but her friend was gone. Alone and desperate, Wabosha turned to the only thing that brought her comfort, the marijuana. Wabosha's world had shrunk to a haze of addiction and desperation. She wandered the streets, lost and alone, until police officers swooped in and took her away. At the station, Wabosha's documents were processed, and the officer's words cut deep: "You're being deported. Your AIDS diagnosis and drug addiction make you a liability to public health." Wabosha's thoughts swirled in chaos. She had hit rock bottom. As she waited in a cell, Wabosha realized she would never escape the darkness that had consumed her. Her dreams, her hopes, her very life, all lost. The deportation papers were finalized, and Wabosha was put on a plane back to her homeland. As the plane took off, Wabosha gazed out the window, tears streaming down her face. She knew she would never find redemption, never escape the shadows of her past. Wabosha stepped off the bus, her eyes cast down in shame. She had returned home, but the memories of her past lingered, haunting her. As she approached her family's small hut, her mother rushed out, arms open wide. "Wabosha, my child," she exclaimed, embracing her tightly. Wabosha's siblings gathered around, their faces filled with love and acceptance, not judgment. They didn't ask questions or condemn her choices. In that moment, Wabosha felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could find redemption here. Surrounded by those who loved her unconditionally, her mother led her inside, where a warm meal was waiting. Wabosha ate, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. For the first time in years, she felt like she was home. Wabosha's story came full circle as she received a surprise visit from a representative of the company that had hired her. They apologized for the ordeal she had endured and refunded her money, plus additional compensation for her suffering. With this closure, Wabosha felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She had finally found justice and vindication. As she looked around at her loving family, Wabosha knew she had been given a second chance. She vowed to rebuild her life, to heal, and to create a brighter future. And so, Wabosha's story ends with a message of hope and resilience. Despite the darkness she faced, she found redemption and a chance to start anew. The end. Thank you for watching, and please tell us what you would do in Wabosha's situation. Did she make a bad decision? Or what do you think? Comment in the comment section below. See you in the next video.